All right, guys. How was 6-2?
It's 10 degrees outside right now.
Wonderful. And put that away, Jackson.
I'm checking the weather.
All right. So number one gave us a table. So the table shows the number of apples and the total weight of apples, and it asked us to estimate the weight of 6 apples. What did we estimate there, Jackson?
1,530 grams.
1,530.
Yeah.
Is everybody pretty close to this? Somewhere in there, Matt. What'd you get?
1533.
1533. That's what you got. Trey, what'd you get?
I said 1457.
1457. Parker, what'd you get?
I got 1533, but I almost said 1500.
Just rounded it to 1,500. All right. So all those are pretty close for somewhere around 1,500. I think what most of us did is we saw 2 apples weighed 511 pounds, and we knew 2 times 3 is 6, so we took 511 times 3, and we got 1,533 as just kind of a rough estimate. Question?
I had 1533, but I rounded it to 1530.
All right. So I think that's most of us how we got our estimate, but as long as we're somewhere around 1,500 there, that would be a good guess. So any of those would be absolutely fine. 2 said select all the stories that the tape diagram can represent. Matt, you want to tell me which or one of these stories that tape diagram could represent?
B.
B? How do we feel about B? Everybody agrees with B there? Cruz, you want to tell me another one? About the tape diagram? C? What do we think on C?
Yes.
Everybody agrees on C? I agree there too. And I got one more there, Dieterle. E. Looks good to me as well. Any questions on those, Matt?
How would E? Because it says they spent 87 on 4 tickets.
All right, so they spent $87, and they bought 4 tickets and they bought dinner. So those are the 2 things they spent the money on. So all 4 of these tickets are going to be the same price, right? So here's our 4 tickets, and then with that they spent $39 on dinner.
It says 87 on 4 tickets and $39.
They spent $87 on 4 tickets and a $39 dinner. So they spent $87 on these 2 things. All right, we okay there?
Yep.
All right. 3 gave us another tape diagram, and on A we wanted to label every part of this tape diagram. So who can tell me what this 40 means relative to this story? Thornton, what's that 40 mean? Why is that 40 there?
Oh, that's the whole thing.
The total?
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to save, right? So we could say total or wanted to save is where we get that 40 from. How about X? What does X represent? Molly?
What he's earning?
What he's earning each week. So X would be earning each week. How much he makes each week. What about that minus 2? Why are we subtracting 2, Abby?
Because he includes the donation.
That's the donation. He donates $2 every week. So we're subtracting 2 from what he earns because he donates $2 every week. We have 5 boxes here, or 5 parts. What does that represent? What is each part? Why do we have 5 boxes there? Lauren? Be each week. He's getting paid a certain dollar amount each week, so each box would be each week. So 1 box would be 1 week. All right? And then if we did 1 box, X minus 2, what does that X minus 2 represent? Jackson?
The, like, what X is.
All right, so that's what we'll get to in B, but what is that 1 box? So what does X minus 2 tell us?
How much he earns and gives away.
How much he earns in 1 week. So how much he earns or saves in 1 week, right? He got paid 10 and then he donated 2, so he saves how many dollars is what we're looking for in B. So what did X equal? Briar?
14?
Not 14.
I have the answer, but
So what is the answer then?
12.
Not 12. Molly?
10.
10. X should be 10, right? Because we have 5 boxes here, so what's 40 divided by 5? 8. So each of these boxes has to equal 8. What do we have? What number do we start with where we subtract 2 from it to get to 8? 10. So x equals 10 on that one. We all okay with that? All right. 4 told us to just pick which one of these would have the greatest value. So out of these 4, which one had the greatest value? Leeward, which one of those would be the biggest number?
I said C.
You said C. Thornton, what do you think?
The last one.
Last one, D. So what do we think, C or D? D? I think D too, right? Because what do we know about D? What happens when you take a negative divided by a negative? It's positive. So we'll get a positive there. What about if we multiply a negative by a positive? Negative. What if we have a negative 7 plus a negative 9? What kind of number are we going to get? Negative. And how about a 7 minus a 9? What kind of number? Negative. So this one's the only one that's positive. So by default, it's going to be the biggest. So D is the only positive. Should have got D on that one. You have a question?
Yeah, I just put like the 1, 2, 3, and 4, like which one was the biggest, and I put 1 as the biggest instead of 4, so I looked at 4 and thought that was the biggest, but I thought D was
Gotcha. All right, 5 told us to solve each equation. So we're supposed to solve for our variable there. Who can tell me what A would equal on that one? Dieterle?
25.5.
All right, what are we missing on that 25.5? A negative, right? Positive times negative would be a negative. All right, so A equals negative 25.5. Thornton, what would B be equal to?
-4.
Negative 4, right? Because this is a negative 7, we have to add 7 to both sides. So negative 11 plus 7 would equal negative 4. C minus a negative 3 equals 15. Dakota, what would C equal? C would equal 12, right? Because remember, this turns into a plus. So then we'd have to minus 3 from each side. So C would equal 12. And the last one, what is D going to be equal to? Cameron, what's D?
-8.
D would be negative 8. That looks good to me. Any questions on the homework, guys? We okay?